Hey guys, we're here. Let's adjust this one more time. All right. So hey guys, you can see we are in the office today. It's simply way too hot out to be outside in the shop. Basically, it was like 90 some degrees today, and I actually ended up going. I mowed and weed eated, and it's just super nasty out, and the shop is not air conditioned in any way. So unfortunately, we'll be inside today, just going over channel updates, whatever. And I know we're a little late. Okay, about 40 minutes late, but not a big deal. I figure gave you guys an announcement like 8 p.m. today. So, but yeah, so like I said, we're inside. It's just simply way too hot out, and what I'm trying to do today is I'm actually going to try to join the stream. Yeah, I know, Brett. Wow, Brett's online. Nice. All right, so I'm actually going to join the stream from my computer to see the chat room. Hey, Brett, how's the C7 going? All right. Settings. Good. All right. Yeah, so here's an interesting thing, guys. My live stream I have on my computer, let me unplug that. I can see the chat like instantly. I was having issues last time we were doing this, so let's see. Yeah, okay, well, that's better. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, we're here in the shop, or in the shop, in the office. So, Brett, did you enjoy that SpaceX launch today? I don't think they've made it to the station yet. I think they are. Yeah, it's supposed to be like 18 hours. But anyway, we've got, I think, 3 people? 4 people. I don't know. I don't know if it includes yourself as a chat, but they dock tomorrow. Okay. Hello, New Reefer. And yeah, dock tomorrow. That'd be cool. Good to see something positive going on in today's crazy world. I was just watching some videos of recent events, is what we will call it, and yeah, good to see something positive. But anyway, the things are starting to open back up. Car shows. I know, Brett. We've got lunch. Was that next week on the 7th? So I think we're gonna go do that. Was it the 7th? Yeah, I'll be there. I'll probably bring the Corvette. I don't have. It's actually running right now, so there's no reason for me not to bring the Corvette. But the SS is back up and running too. That was a real stupid break, but anyway, yeah. So we'll be there on the 7th. We'll probably have a small video in regards to the channel. A channel video, just going around the parking lot, whatever. But yeah, social distancing car meet should be kind of interesting. So, but yeah, Brian, I think you're one of the last people I've seen. I've seen Steve in the time that we had the last car meet and we had this one. I literally think that's the only car person I've seen besides like immediate family in the last, what was that, March? Last 2, almost 3 months. So, but all right, yeah, the chat room is definitely better on a computer than it is on my cell phone, because when I'm on my phone, I don't see it, or it's like it's super laggy, and when I do see it, it's like you've already asked a question. So, but anyway, so like I said, stuff's opening back up. Corvette stuff. We are back to the Corvette. The video this past week was the Aeroforce gauge update because we were trying to get the PCM to read alcohol percentage or ethanol percentage. I'm sorry. Yeah, ethanol percentage. And unless we go, basically what it comes down to, unless I use HP tuners and just have HP tuners open on a laptop, I can't read alcohol percentage. Even though we have the E85 sensor, we have the Aeroforce sensor, all that stuff's plugged in. For some reason, the E40 ECM in the 2005 Corvettes, I don't know if it's the same issue on the GTOs and the Trailblazer SS. They all use that E40 ECM, and basically we can't read it unless I have a copy of HP tuners open, or I go full aftermarket computer and go. But man, those aftermarket computers are cool because they have lots of safety features built in. A stock computer will basically say your car's running fine, it'll blow up, and it'll still say your car is fine. But with the aftermarket ECUs, you can have fuel cut, timing cut, boost cut. It just depends on what you're doing with the car. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with the Corvette. The SS, I've got some parts coming for it, and we'll get back to that eventually. We're going to have mostly Corvette updates for the next few weeks, but anyway, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to type. I'm just here chilling in the house, and it's, like I said, it was super hot today. And Brett, I don't know if you're still on, but I know you were I think you were mowing. I got sunburned. I have a farmer's tan sunburnt from just being outside. So it's like, yeah, let's go ahead and not be stuck outside. So Brett, the message you just sent me literally was marked by YouTube as this message is held for review. I'm going to say show. I don't know if it'll show. So apparently if you chat and use a adult word, not a cuss word, but I guess not a social media approved. Yeah, you probably are. So but yeah, I actually got blocked on Facebook. Okay, well that one just showed up. I actually got kicked off Facebook for a day for sharing a meme that I actually got from Facebook. I was replying to someone's some post, I don't know what it was, and yeah, they blocked me for 24 hours. So be careful with what you say. Pretty much everything is censored, and with just the way with the world is, man, it just you never used to have to be like super careful with what you post, and I mean within reason, but Trump 2020. I won't disagree with that. But yeah. Anyway, what else going on? So we covered the Corvette, covered the SS a little bit. Yeah, so your reply, your laugh my blank off. I saw it first and it showed up on the camera like 5 seconds later. Weird. But anyway, what else we got going on? Corvette stuff, we got SS stuff, we got truck stuff. A lot of projects going on. And am I the only one? Let's see. Let's close this for a second. Oh, someone's still watching. That was just me. All right, let's go back into it. Oh wow, the thumbnail for this is it's just you and I now, buddy. Oh yeah. Hey Reefer. Question for you, new Reefer. How'd you find my channel? Are you here for SS content, Corvette content, truck content? I've had a lot of people ask about truck updates. I'm just kind of seeing, I'm engaging with the audience here. Brett, we know what you've had the SS, 2 SSs and a Corvette. Midget content. That would probably be against YouTube policy. Probably cannot monetize that. So, SS content. Okay, cool. Yeah, that car's been on and off the channel since, man, that kind of actually launched the channel like 3 years ago when we first did that SS swap. That was really my first like end-to-end project, and it's got a decent amount of views. Unfortunately, my truck videos, which it makes sense, the truck stuff, it just gets way more views, way more comments, way more interaction than any of my SS and the Corvette stuff. The one of my truck videos has like 100,000 views, and it was a 3-minute truck video. You're looking for an SS as a daily? It'll make a good daily. Just don't make your daily a race car and have to buy a new daily. Okay. All right, Brett. Good chatting with you. We'll see you next week. All right. But yeah, going back to an SS daily. Peace, dude. I don't know. Was that the wrong way? All right. Good night, Brett. But yeah, a Chevy SS makes a fine daily driver. I can't say the automatic is any better than the manual. It just depends what you don't want to make it a race car. Yeah, it it has a lot of factory bolt-ons that you can do. Any of the ZL1 CTSV stuff will bolt right to the car. Camaro parts fit, Corvette parts fit. Just kind of depends what you want to do. I mean, you can go crazy with that new Kong 2650 blower. You know, a built 427. It's really kind of a cool platform because it's rear-wheel drive. It's an auto or manual. Uh, Depending on which year you can get mag ride, you can get the big brakes. You can go real crazy on them, or you can just kind of leave them alone, but with like stock upgrades. That's kind of what I did. You know, I've got the full CTSV brakes on my car. Doesn't really need it. No, it pretty much doesn't need it, but there you go. Was that Army 16SS? Oh, 165. I'm sorry. I thought that said S. Yeah, I think, Reefer, you'd be fine with an intake, like a cold air intake, rotofab, whatever, set of headers, and a tune, and you'd be fine. It doesn't need any of that, but depending on what year you're looking for, definitely recommend a set like a header and catback, just because the stock exhaust specifically for 14s, I have a 14. I think 15 is the same way too. The stock exhaust just is super quiet and it's not loud at all. Set of headers, a catback, whatever, and a tune, and you'll be great. Oh, you're looking at 17. All right, I recommend not getting a catback for the 17. The like Cook's long tubes to their mid pipes would be fine, but keep the bimodal mufflers. I think you'll want to keep them because it'll still work with the factory switch. You can, yeah, an X pipe. There you go. But yes, there's a couple warnings with the X pipes though. One manufacturer, I'm not gonna say their name. It sounds like looks. That's all we're gonna say. If you put the parts in wrong, they don't fit. If there's been fitment issues that people have had problems with. I never had an issue with it. We installed that same looks exhaust on that blue SS, Brett, who was just on earlier, and yeah, I would agree with exactly what Army 165. But yeah, anyway, so oh, sorry guys, my computer's trying to restart. Okay, I ignored it. Yeah, so sometimes the exhausts just don't fit. It just depends on the situation. I haven't had a problem with mine, but I am running a Corsa catback for G8. It bolted right in. It bolted right to the stock. Hold on, did it? Yeah, the G8 bolted right into the her SS with Cook's long tube X pipe with stock mufflers with a cam. That car would probably be pretty loud, depending if the long tubes were catted or not. That will affect the raspiness and the loudness of the exhaust. But like I was saying, I have Cook's long tube headers, the G8 to Cook's little J pipes, and then the G8 Corsa catback, and it sounds awesome. So catted, okay. Yeah, then if you need to pass emissions, I think you would be fine with that. I live in, unfortunately, North Carolina eliminated emissions in a bunch of counties, but I live in the metro region of one of the bigger cities, so I still have to pass emissions, so I still have to have cats on all of my vehicles. So that's, it's a problem I have to worry about, depending on where you live. Maryland, pretty sure Maryland has emissions, if I'm thinking about that correctly. Maybe I'm thinking of Northern Virginia, Nova. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, depending if you have to get emissions, Cook sells cats. Yep, every 2 years. Cook sells high flow cat. Oops, I said the company name. That particular company do sell high flow cats. I've had them on my Corvette for 6 or 7 years. Been running 14 pounds of boost through them, E85, two-step. I have not had a problem with them. A lot of cars will melt aftermarket cats, but I haven't had a problem with it. Not saying I never will, but that is one thing to worry about is aftermarket cats, is that you could potentially basically melt the cat and it gets all raspy and you have to modify it and make it look like you have a cat. We're not going to get into specifics about that, but I have seen people that have put aftermarket cats in it, then have to fix them and put them back on the car. So that's just a fair warning on that. But all right, we got actually 6 people. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them. We're not. I don't have an agenda for tonight. I'm just kind of chilling and hanging out with you guys. So okay. But yeah, 17SS would be fun. I would say automatic is my preference, but Rotofab, ARH, Street Tune, it's loud as hell. Yeah, they definitely can be. I haven't heard anything bad about ARH, the headers themselves. Hey Army, does ARH make a X pipe? If I'm reading that correctly, so ARH headers and X pipe. Is that an ARH make American Racing Headers? Are you running their X pipe? They make the whole system. Okay, cool. All right, I haven't dealt with American Racing Headers, so I wouldn't know. But okay, that's cool. They make a whole system. It's when you have to piece things together. That's when it really sucks. Like my diesel truck. I don't even talk about it. I have 3 manufacturers on the exhaust on that car, on that vehicle. It's nice when it's all just one piece. So, but yeah. So what's the other recommendation? Stainless Works is out there as well, but honestly, I don't see anyone running Stainless Works. Like when they first came out, I think the ARH would sound just as good as Cook's. I don't think there's gonna be any much of a difference there. And probably Let's look on YouTube. There's probably a Chevy SS video out there. So Chevy SS ARH headers. All right, so yeah. Hey Kevin, how's it going? Water. Yeah, I'm staying hydrated after I got heat exhaustion from mowing. But yeah, back to Reefer's question. Oh, there you go. Yeah, if you look on YouTube, there's plenty of. I'm looking. I'm just scrolling through. There's probably like at least 15 videos here with ARH. Okay, so that was Army 165. I'm gonna look you up because why not? Wow, 200 videos? That's a lot. Okay, there you go. Now, I would click these videos and play them for you, but I don't need YouTube to give me a copyright strike for watching someone else's video while I'm YouTubing. I have seen that happen. So, well, that's cool. Call of Duty. Wow. I haven't. I'm not a big gamer. I used to be, but. And the last Call of Duty, not that it's related to the channel, but the last Call of Duty game I played was probably Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, YouTube is. I don't know, like, I've seen. The weird thing about YouTube is it's like you see people share people's video clips and they say like fair use in the description of the video, but I still think you could do a copyright claim on it, or something. I actually had a company steal one of my videos, didn't delete my intro or outro at all. They just downloaded it, re-uploaded it onto their channel video, and I did a copyright strike against them. I'm like, it's my video that you're using for your profitability, and YouTube took it down. So that's why I try not to include anyone else's stuff in my videos, just due to stuff like that. I had actually this right here. I happen to be inside. I did a gimbal video review like probably 2 years ago, and this is, what is this? So this is specifically a GoPro gimbal because that's what I film with, and this brand says Hohem, Hohem. I'll try to. Yeah, I don't know if you can read that. But anyway, I actually had a video of mine taken down because the company that makes the Japanese manufacturer, or Chinese, whatever it is, they manufacture that, and then the American company goes by a different name. Well, the American company got pissed, and I had to take that video down because of that. So just be careful with that. It's one of the only, like, and it was like it wasn't just a copyright claim. It was like a patent claim. It was a real weird YouTube fair use claim against my channel, and it was basically a channel strike. So I took the video down, I re-edited it, and I re-uploaded it without those titles in it, and I was able to get around the channel strike. So be careful with using other people's material. I know I use PCM videos in my videos, in my dyno videos specifically, but I've talked with them. I've done lots of business with PCM. They're my tuner here in the Charlotte area of North Carolina. And but yeah, like I was saying, I know them. I know the owners. They don't care if I use like 5 seconds of their video. I just say in titles like clip courtesy of whoever, and that's my experience. I've been doing YouTube for what 4 years now, something like that. So it's just an interesting life experience with YouTube. I hope you don't run into the problems that I've run into. So, but anyway, enough about YouTube. I know there's 6 or 7 of us on the channel now. Like I said, go ahead if you guys have comments, questions, whatever. Feel free to ask. We were helping out New Reefer looking into a 17SS. I think you'd enjoy it. I don't know what color you want. I mean, 17 was the best year with color options, to be honest. I think there's like 8 or 9 different colors you could buy. Just make sure you're on the lookout for the color you want. When I bought the only regret that I have with my SS is actually the color. So I've told this story on video before, but long story short is my neighbor hit my Pontiac G8. Kevin, I'll answer that in a minute. So long story short about the SS, my neighbor hit my G8. It had $6,000 worth of frame damage, body and frame damage on it. This was in 2014 when that happened. I got the car back from the body shop. They fixed it. They had to pull the B pillar toward outward because it got pushed in. The car never drove straight ever again. It pulled hard left or right. I took the G8 down to the Chevy dealership for a test to get an alignment to see if there's any frame damage they could see. The tech was on it for 4 hours. He couldn't get it straight. He said there's something tweaked, and basically you're gonna have to take it to a frame shop to get it fixed. So needless to say, I got my G8 back from the body shop. Went to get an alignment, came home in the SS, and when I bought my SS, the only one they had on the lot was a white one. Yeah, I like the blue too. Are there 2 blues or 3? There was the dark blue Brett's car was the dark blue. I don't know the GM name of it. It doesn't really matter. The dark blue I like. There was also a almost Mustang Grabber blue, I think for 15 and 16 maybe. I might be wrong about the years, but there was like a non-metallic lighter blue, almost looked like Mustang Grabber blue, and yeah, Brett's color is the dark one. That would be a good car to buy. But yeah, so yeah, there's lots of different colors you can get. 17's the best of options. But yeah, long story short, getting back to my SS, I ended up buying it. White was the only color they had, and 14 had really crappy colors. It was, I think, red, black, a shale gray, and white. I don't want black because I don't like dark color. It's possible to keep clean. Red, I would have taken. The shale gray, it's kind of a nasty looking color. And the white was the only one they had in a lot. And yeah, so that's how I bought a white on black SS with a bunch of chrome on it, which we've spent a lot of money deleting the chrome. So fuel upgrades you need with the LSA. Okay, so my SS, the only fuel upgrade that I've done is I have 60-pound injectors. I believe stock is 52-pound injectors, something like that. I had my injectors left over for my Corvette because my Corvette, that thing's been through 2 engine setups. It's the same block, but so I bought the 60-pound injectors for the Corvette a long time ago. My SS, I only have bigger injectors. The pump, I think, is good for say 600 to 700 horsepower. Okay, at that point you need to either do one of like 2 things. One, get a booster pump, which I don't recommend, just due to the fact that booster pumps can die. You won't know it's not running, and you go for a pull, your car leans out and explodes because it detonates because it doesn't have any fuel in it. The DSX kit. I believe the DSX kit is good for 800 horsepower, give or take. The SSs have a Z01 pump in them, but there's debate about the fuel pressure control module, fuel pressure. It's FPCM, whatever GM stands for, but you can get that unlocked and have it tuned. But I don't think a lot of tuners are taking advantage of adjusting the FPCM to allow the stock fuel pump to flow more fuel. So that's kind of what's going on with that. The DSX kit is good for like 800 or 900 horsepower. I think it's when you start getting into the bigger blowers like the 2650s. It's not enough pump, stuff like that. It also may not be enough on E85. It just kind of depends on what you want to do, and where you want to go with it. The other risk with the external fuel pump is, yeah, reefer. You should be fine with stock fuel pump for headers, cam, exhaust. That might be 450 to 500 wheel. You should be perfectly fine as long as obviously with the cam you're gonna need it tuned, and I would run a car with intake exhaust without getting it tuned. You can, but it's kind of like you're leaving 20 horsepower on the floor. You're not taking full advantage of the increased efficiency that you've done. You're letting more air in and letting more air out. Engines are just a giant vacuum fuel pump, whatever you want to call it. Get it tuned and take advantage of. I hate my Phantom Black Metallic. Tell myself I never. Air pump. There you go. Yeah, black cars. I've had one. My old Pontiac Grand Prix GTP. Black car, never stayed clean, and yeah, I was like, that's my last black car. Now my truck is a dark gray, almost black, so it's the same problem. But my Duramax, this is gonna sound bad, but I just don't care about it. So if it's clean or dirty, whatever, it sits outside. It's the daily beater. So bird shit and pollen, yeah, I'd agree with that. So the only thing I like about the good thing about black cars is if they're clean, they look awesome. But 5 minutes after you've cleaned it, it's dirty again. So it's a never-ending cycle, and I don't have time of the day to go clean my car constantly. No, it's not gonna happen. But going back to fuel, yeah, with headers, exhaust, that's the same thing. With intake, exhaust, cam, you should be fine on stock fuel system. I think even stock injectors you'd be fine too. I'm never gonna ceramic coat a car. Just to be honest, this is gonna sound opinionated, but spending like $2,000 to $3,000 for coating on a car, that for me it makes no sense because my cars sit in the garage, and if I want to wash it, I'll wash it. But I've done the Adams has their own like DIY ceramic coating. Supposedly it's good for a year. I don't know. My Corvette has swirls in it again, but I probably did that like 2 years ago, 2+ years ago, and I've been. If you guys have watched the channel, ooh, yeah, but like the what were we saying? If you guys watch the channel, I've been tearing apart the Corvette for the last 2 years, and so now it's finally back together. It's time to start taking care of it. Oh, this goes back to Kevin. Yeah, Kevin. Some tracks are open. South Carolina tracks are open. I believe a few tracks in North Carolina are open, but they're doing these social distancing, and we're basically into summer now, so any cold DA is out the window, and I really have no. I want to take the Corvette to the track, but I just have no real passion to get out there. It's 100 degrees. The car is going to pull timing and run like crap. So, yeah, outside. I don't miss those days. when I was younger, I didn't have when I first bought my Corvette. So I've had that car for 12 years. I lived in an apartment. It's like the first year of it, the first year I owned that car. Yeah, I'm outside Charlotte, probably about 45 minutes away from Charlotte. It'll be fall soon. Yeah, hopefully with fall, this global event doesn't come back around. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to get my last live stream didn't get monetized because I talked about it. So let's not talk about that. But yeah, hopefully we can go racing at some point this year. It's just not a priority. Waxhaw. Okay, that's a very nice area of Charlotte. I hope he doesn't work uptown because that's a crappy drive. When I first moved to Charlotte, oh, 13 years ago, that wasn't bad. About 40 minutes, but now just with all the traffic and Charlotte's population has pretty much doubled in 10 years, 10, 15 years. So this area is becoming, the infrastructure sucks, roads suck, and we just now have finished one of the interstates. So it's just behind the times. But yeah, what else? It's not a bad gig. Work from home is not a bad gig. Uh, some people hate it, but you know, actually, a lot of people have been well. People that can work from home, especially with the recent global events, you know, a lot of people have been working from home. So, but yeah, what else? Fall. Power Tour got moved. Speaking, I'll just look at Kevin's comment. Uh, Power Tour got moved to August. Who knows if that's going to go on? Power Tour. I haven't done the Power Tour in. Hey Earl, how's it going? Earl, are you in the Charlotte area? I hope I'm reading that right. I bought. No, it's Earl. Sorry about that. But yeah. Anyway, oh, I briefly talked about Power Tour. Power Tour is not coming to the Charlotte area, so I will not be going. Wow, that beer festival canceled. Yes, I don't know. I don't know any organized event that's going to happen this year, unless you're doing a pay per view like Cletus at your own facility. I don't know if any big events are going to go on. Streetcar Takeover in Charlotte got moved to September. Probably going to get canceled. The weather will be better. Well, early September here is still hot. I mean, I guess it's cooler than July, but um, any big events this year, I just don't know if they're going to happen. I watch a lot of YouTubers. I kind of try to support channels and watch their stuff because I'm interested in seeing what all the rest of the car community is doing, and I watch a bunch of Australian guys, Mighty Car Mods, uh, Skid Factory, and Benny's Custom Works are kind of all the same group that were part of Mighty Car Mods that were specialists that came in and helped. A lot of those guys did Drag Week. They imported a car from Australia, brought it here for Drag Week, and then sent it back home. Well, those guys already canceled, and they're just like, yeah, we're not going to send a car, halfway across the world. It take 4 months to get there, and for it to get there, and then the event not happen. So they're just not coming. So there might be more stuff like that. Aussies. Hey, Army, what are you doing a coilover install on a G8 or an SS? I I think you have a black. I'm sorry. Let me scroll back up. I forgot what you drive. Uh, I know you had headers, but 2014. What Army? What brand coilovers are you going? CB750. I know who that is. I'm just gonna laugh. I have nothing positive to say about any of that. BC Racing. Okay. So BC Racing, I don't have a problem with BC Racing. I think their coilovers are decent. Yeah, I if you see me laughing, it's because there's behind the scenes stories here, and if you're part of the SS community, you know it for a particular person or particular website. It's all we're going to talk about. But yeah, I think I saw your post. I'd have to go back and look for it. But anyway, BC Racing. I think they make good stuff. I would suggest the DR, not the BR series. I think the BR is their like entry level. Hey, Mr. Vice. Major upheaval and all the home dealerships will be closed. Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Vice. Are those dealerships getting replaced with Chevy dealerships, or are they just going out of business altogether? Because I don't know what Australian laws are like, but here in the U.S., you're technically supposed to have parts available for 10 years, which for some cars, out of business. Wow. That's going to suck because we buy a lot of parts from Australia. Hey, Earl. Not to change topics, but Earl, 2009 vet, Charlotte area. Loaded question. Everyone has their positives and negatives. I'll say this. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. My preference is PCM. I've been doing business with them for 10 years. Other people will say SS LSX out of Concord. PCM's up in Mooresville. There's Mass Acceleration Motorsports here in Denver. There is Heinz Racing. They just moved up to Mooresville. Heinz, HEINTZ. Yeah, Reefer, PCM of North Carolina. That's the name of the tuner. Like I would say, I haven't had a problem with them. So, yeah, so Heinz, PCM, SS, LSX. Okay. Crap, I lost track. Heinz, PCM, SSLXX, Mass Acceleration. Those are probably the big 4 or 5. There's a couple other local tuners, but I don't know anything about them. I've never been to their shop. I haven't had friends with them. It's hard to say. I would say those 4 would be your best bet. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. Speak with them, send them an email, call them, whatever. Speak with them, and whatever tuner you feel the best connection with, go with them. The rates will all be about the same. To tune a car, it's between $400 and $600, depending on what you're getting done, as long as they don't have to work on the car. If the car's ready to get tuned, I think you'll be fine. So, all right. So I think we've covered tuners. There's another couple tuners. I can't think of it. Yeah, Earl, if you need like websites and stuff, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. It's just my channel information is the same, just BonecrrusherSS on either one of those. If you want to send me a message, I can send you a list of who I think's good. Actually, I can type it. I'm sorry. I forgot I had a keyboard. So tuners, let me type this out. Tuners image shop. The last one is SX. LSX. All right. There you go. I provided you a list. That's the cool thing about being inside is I have a keyboard and I can reply to you guys. So we were talking about GM parts and dealerships. Talk is they'll sell limited U.S. models. I know HSV, Walkinshaw. I don't know what the name of that company is anymore. They were importing Camaros. They were importing trucks, converting those all over to right-hand drive, selling them as Chevys. But I don't know what that company's called anymore. I've Power Curve. Yeah, you don't mess with Aussies in their cars. I've seen that. So, but yeah, I hope parts are available. Unfortunately, I think we're going to start to see SS parts become discontinued. Even though they just discontinued the cars in 2017. Corvette ZR1s, C6 ZR1 Corvettes, you can't buy parts for. Even though they're popular, they built them until 2013. Certain parts of a ZR1 Corvette, it was a, high cost car, kind of low production. You can't buy parts for them. So we'll start to see that in the SS world very soon. Power Curve. Yeah, if you got a Mustang, that's cool. Okay. I think they're supposed to bring the C8 Corvette to Australia. I could be wrong about that. I thought I read that somewhere. I don't know. The Camaro's dead, so let me clarify. The next generation Camaro is not going to happen. So once the Camaro chassis is gone, the Alpha chassis, there won't be another one. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do in Australia. I guess all Chinese and Southeast Asian produced cars. That's probably what's going to happen. I saw something else. BRs, coilovers. Oh, really? I went with BR mainly because I'm impatient. Cannot adjust the rear damping without cutting a hole. Oh, that sucks, man. Army, I have that same problem with my Corvette. My rear shocks, rear coilovers, you actually have to drill a hole in the trunk to adjust them. Well, I never did, so thankfully the Corvette's pretty simple to tear apart. It's 3 bolts. I just removed the whole shock assembly, adjusted off the car, put it back in the car, and put it back together. So Talk Here's Corvette is on hold. Well, that sucks. I imagine everything's on hold with the way the economy is going. I don't know if the economy in Australia is as bad as it is here. I know when the economy in Army, here's what I do. Unless I'm going drag racing or autocrossing, something specific where I need to adjust the rear shock, the stiff and dampening of it, I set it in the middle, put it back in the car, and leave it. That's what I do. I've not removed a rear suspension on a G8 or an SS, so I don't know how difficult it would be to remove the whole assembly, adjust it, and put it back in. That sucks. I did not know about that you drill a hole for it. Thank you for giving me that information. Just like me to pick a car that has limited parts availability. If you buy it now and you do all your modifications now, I think you'll be fine. But if you buy it and sit on it for 3 or 4 years, so a 17 in 3 years will be 6 or 7 years old. You'll run into parts. 7 bolts, I don't have a lift. Yeah, in the many years I've been modifying cars, I did not have a lift. I only got the lift the last 5 or 6 years. So um, after we custom built this house. Well, it was a spec home, but we modified it. And so when we custom specified the garage, I knew I wanted a lift, and I already had it from my old house. Excuse me. And yeah, so I built the house for the lift, and we're good to go. I would definitely recommend it. And honestly, you don't need to have a huge garage for a lift. Those quick jacks, is that quick jack? Whatever those things are called, you stick into the car and you lift it up like 2 feet. Those are perfect. My father-in-law has one, and he gets under his Cobra, his Corvette, and his truck, and they work just fine. So, but what else? GM, HSV. Well, that'd be cool. I hope the Australians can get some of the cool American cars. Um, yeah, if you look, Army, there are actually accessories I've seen where QuickJack may sell it. It's actually like a hook, and don't worry about parts. We'll install in 10 years. Okay, that'd be good to not worry about parts for a while. But like I was saying about those QuickJacks, you can actually buy hooks to where you can get them up off the floor and out of the way. What that's what I would do. Um, the lift I have is a Max Jacks, and that stupid thing came with a power cart. I call it the power cart. It's basically a mobile cart that holds the hydraulic pump, the lift actuator, the little control valve, as well as the drain to press it in, and it lowers the hydraulic ramps down. I put that thing on the wall. It's the best mod I've ever done to my garage or that lift, was get that out of the way. If you get stuff off the floor and out of the way, it just makes your life so much easier. Uh, just an observation I have made over the last couple of years. Uh, man, coilovers for an SS. BRs are okay. I didn't know about that stupid adjustment issue. Maybe look at a different brand if you want something that's not where you have to tear the car apart. That sucks. And what's weird about the SS is the Corvette BRs. I'm sorry, BC. If you buy a Corvette coilover kit, it's not the same issue that you have on the SS. It's they have the adjustment on the bottom, and you just go in and click it right or left, whatever, and you're good to go. But beyond that, I don't actually have a good brand recommendation for coilovers. I need a set. My front strut mounts are sticking up above the strut assembly area where it screws in bolts into, and yeah, so I need to fix that. But the good thing is we don't have MagRide, so I don't have to worry about $1,000 shock blowing apart and replacing it every 2 years. Um, that's oh is aren't was that who was it? That was Reefer. Yeah, Reefer. That is one thing that goes bad on the SS. It's the hydraulic. It's the MagRide, Magneto ride. That's not the right term. The MagnaRide shocks basically leak, and they're like $800 to replace per axle per wheel. I thought I saw somewhere the price may have dropped to $300 per shock or strut, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, if you have to replace a set of those, that's $1,500 in the rear. You buy a set of coilovers for $1,500, so you can see why people get rid of the MagnaRide. Get the little simulators to make sure the sensors aren't bad. Okay. Mine weren't with stock ones, coilovers, and there's a gap at the top. Yeah, my stock shocks are showing that gap, so. Oh, what else going on? Okay, you might be able to get store pricing on that. Yeah, I don't know what's bad, what's good. Um, those bushings, the basically the top of the mount. I don't know. Basically, since my car has been brand new, they've been popping up uh, from the shock mount assembly in the engine bay. So okay, yeah, just be on the lookout for those rear shocks. Actually, if you're looking at a used car, you might be able to use that to your advantage. Look under the car, see if the rear shocks are leaking. Like you'll see it; it'll be like a black goo coming out because that Magna, the shocks basically have a black liquid in them. It's a magnetic liquid in it that they basically apply electrical signal to, and it causes the magnets to like stiffen, and they release the electronic signal, and it causes that liquid to to uncompress, and it does that hundreds of times per second or whatever. There's some magic number, and that's how it works. So if you see like a black goo dripping from the rear shocks, struts, whatever you want to call it, um, that's the Magna leaking out, and you've got blown. So you might be able to get a couple thousand off of the car. Be like, hey, the rear shocks are blown, rear struts are blown, and those need to be replaced. So, oh, what else going on? I think we've caught up with everything. Hey, Mr. Vice, what time is it in Australia right now? I'm not sure if you're 12 hours ahead or 13 hours ahead, depending on. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing that I heard. It was the. Actually, I saw some guy posting on the Chevy SS group, Joe LaBruzas. I'm not saying his name right. The guy that runs SS only, his SS group, and I heard something about price going down from like 700 to 300. Could be wrong about that. $11.38. Nice. Wow, so you're 12, 13, 14 hours ahead. Wow. The only reason I ask is I've had family that worked in overseas in China, and they're always like weird, like 12 or 13 hours ahead, depending on where they were in the country. So, thankfully, well, your weekend's almost over. It's almost noon on Sunday. Thankfully, we've got another day off. But anyway, I hope everyone's doing all right with global issues and this thing, stuff going on. Hope all of you guys that are. It is 9:39 p.m. at night, so it's almost 10 o'clock at night here. I've never, I've never actually bought anything from Joe. That's gonna sound bad, but all the parts I've used on the SS were GM parts almost. Like all of the LSA stuff, all of the heat exchanger I got from another manufacturer, um, pulleys, all that stuff. I basically bought GM, so I didn't need to go through Joe. Brake pads, I just bought stuff on my own. So, but I've never heard anything real bad. If anything, he's over communicate and over promises, which is a good thing. And I see people like I don't know if he ships stuff like next day air or what, but like people get their stuff on time, and so I've not heard anything bad. But yeah, it is a little weird that he runs a group. But I'll say this: there was another SS Facebook group probably 4 years ago that I got banned from, and I got banned from them because I asked in the G8 group about a hood being made. That's all I'm gonna say for the SS, and they banned me in their group. So those guys are winners. That's all we're gonna say. But yeah, what else going on? Truck updates. I want to buy a new one. Wait. Army, are you saying that the special person from the SS forums runs the other group? If that's true, I didn't know that. Oh. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, but that would be kind of funny if it was true. But yeah, so SS forums, don't go there. Honestly, forums are dead. Hey, you said it, not me. Hey Taylor, how's it going? When am I going to buy a boat? I have a boat. It's called a Corvette. Bust out another 1,000. That's basically what a Corvette is. Anything for a Corvette costs $1,000 of some sort. Whether it's 1,000, 2,000, to 10,000. No, but Dodge Chargers do. There's a meme out there with a couple Challengers and Chargers floating at being boats. Those float real well. Um, yeah, I was in the so this is some Facebook drama if you want to call it that, but like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a Chevy SS group, owners group on Facebook, whatever. It was ran by a person. I'm not going to say names. It's not Joe's group. It's another group. And yeah, I was banned because I asked a question in a G8 group, not that particular SS group. And they were like, "Yeah, no," and I just lost my access to that group. So I'm like, "Oh well," and that's when I discovered Joe's group. So, uh, what else? Mom has a Hellcat. You know, for how much crap Hellcats get, I actually really like them because they're just like a big middle finger to to everyone. Like they're big cars, yes, they weigh a lot, but 700 plus horsepower stock. It's a supercharged car, so pulling in an intake and a tune, you can't be that far away from an 800. Trackhawk, yeah, I take one of those too. I mean, I don't do any off roading. Excuse me, so Trackhawk with some drag slicks on it would be pretty sweet. Chrysler 3. So did they stop making those? I have not paid attention to Chrysler in like forever. So they don't put the 392 that's available in the Challenger into the Chrysler? Oh wow. I did not know that. Why the hell would they? It's the same car. Like, I guess the question is, does Chrysler even make cars anymore? I mean, besides the Town and Country, the minivan, I can't think of. Oh. All right, Taylor, have a good one. VH. I have not seen. I've seen a few of the early models. So, you're talking like pre GTO, pre Comet Monero. I'm sorry, the GTO was a Monero. I don't think those were VHs. Let me look. I'm not even sure. So VH. Oh wow, those are super old. 80s models. Okay. The only 1981 and 1984 Holden's manufacturer. The only information I have about these was actually because of a YouTube channel in Australia called The Skid Factory. They took, it could be the wrong year, wrong generation, but they had a Nissan engine in it. Crap, I'm forgetting. It's an inline six, I think, with a turbo. It's the only like exposure I've ever had to those cars, and that was on YouTube. I think they did that this uh, last year, but it had some kind of Nissan. Was it a four cylinder? I don't remember. It had some kind of turbo Nissan and VL. There you go. Yeah, that's really the only thing. I've not seen many early Holdens here in the United States. I've only seen a couple pre. I don't know what they called the Monero. I don't know what the chassis name was. It's not VE because the VE was the G8 or the latest. Not the VF. The VE was the Pontiac G8. Whatever chassis the Monero and the GTO Pontiac GTO were. I've seen a few early of those, but that's really all I've seen. So VL Commodore. I'm googling stuff, so sorry. Okay. Yeah, I've like I said, I've seen some videos with these, but that's all I've ever seen of the early Commodore stuff. People just don't import them. To be honest, I've seen a few like mid '90s Commodores and stuff, but I've never really seen anything older than that here ever. And hell, I take my SS out. People don't know what it is. They're like, "Oh, is that a Malibu?" I'm like, "No." If I put Holden badges on it, that's a whole nother crowd of people asking, "Is that a Peugeot, or is that some kind of whatever?" So I am familiar with the Summer Nats. There's a very popular YouTube guy here in America called Cletus. I'm not sure what. I don't know if Cletus has a following in Australia as he does here, but he took a Pontiac. No, I'm sorry. Took a Chevy Camaro to the Summer Nats with not a 572, like a 600 plus cubic inch motor with a big old. It might have been a 1071 supercharger. It was real big supercharger on it. Blew it up, hit some walls, blew up the motor. Bought another motor in Australia. They swapped it, and then they shipped it back. Summer Nats was going on when you guys had all those fires this past year, or in the early, was that January? Whatever month that was. Um, yee yee. Okay, it was an 872. All right, I wasn't sure about that. But yeah, that's one of the popular YouTubers that I follow. I follow a lot of people actually. Probably shouldn't, but Nissan motor. I have a friend that went to Australia for shark diving. Well, Army, I expect to see some videos from the Freedom Factory if you ever can get that. If they ever open up, that'd be cool. But yeah, like I was saying, so I had a friend that went to Australia for shark diving like probably 5 years ago. So the HSVs were still being made, and my friend went to the local Holden dealership, and the car, obviously as an American he can't buy an Australian car. The dealership people were cool, and they opened the motor and took video of the LSA and he sent it to me. I was like, man, that's pretty sweet, because we couldn't get that stuff stock here, and just being able to walk up to a dealership and buy that factory, that would have been real awesome. Which is unfortunate because now that whole now that manufacturing in Australia has died, for automotive at least, you guys used to have all the cool stuff. Now we're just eh. Yeah, now you guys get the awesome American cars, which there are not much of. The VE Ute. Hey, Army, is it white? If it's the white one, I think I know what it is. I think I know. I've seen it on the internet. Anyway, Burgundy, Charles Phelps. I know Charles. I haven't met him personally, but I know of him. He's got he wrecked his. I followed him on Facebook before Facebook was really a thing. That doesn't make sense. I followed his build on Facebook before, like, content creators got real popular. He had a white GXP. It got, I think it got rear-ended, and then he bought the Ute shell, imported it, swapped the firewall section to move the steering from the right to the left, or yeah, right. You know what I mean? To move the steering wheel over to the left-hand side. And I followed that build. Man, that must have been four. That must have been 4+ years ago. But I followed that, and it's a pretty cool swap. Would I do it? No, I don't want. I don't want to have 50 grand into a Ute. Excuse me. But I think the coolest combination I've seen of mishmash of mismatch, mix and match, whatever, whatever terminology we're looking for, of Holden parts is actually a Chevy SS. Yeah, yeah, you're following me there, Army. It's not worth the cost. But the coolest build I've seen was actually a guy took a Pontiac. I'm sorry, a Caprice, a Statesman they call it in Australia, but a Caprice PPV. It's a 14, so it had the newer interior in it. Same interior as us, as the SS owners. Took that interior. He swapped the front clip to a Pontiac G8 clip, or a VE Commodore clip. And so it was kind of a mix of the old and the new. So it had the body of the old and had the new of the SS interior. And they swapped the center console, the seats, a few other things, and basically had a long wheelbase Pontiac G8 with a Chevy SS interior. So that was kind of a cool build that I've seen, because I had a G8 for. I totally agree with you. I think the VEs just look way better than the VFs. Maybe if you had the HSV body panels on a VF, it would look better. But for the crap that we got, the Impala bumpers that we got, and I just that's the one regret I have getting rid of my G8 was I like the exterior look of it way better than I do um, on the SS. But what are you gonna do? I just wish I just wish the G8 had the comfort creatures that the VF does. The heated and cooled seats, the navigation, the Bluetooth, all that stuff. I mean, you can add that to a G8, but not only that, but just the newer interior. Yeah, the newer interior, like, man, probably. So Kevin, I don't know if you're still on. We sat in some Holden HSV Utes like 6 years ago. So this is even before the 6, 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, I feel you on that. But we sat. So 3 guys imported 3 Holden Utes for the Power Tour, the Hot Rod Power Tour, and we got to see them like drive all over the U.S. They shipped them to California. I think the Power Tour started in like Michigan or Florida or somewhere in between, and so they drove them from California all the way to Michigan or all the way to Florida. I forget which one. And then when the Power Tour ended, they put on a boat in like Texas and shipped them back to Australia. So that was the first time I ever saw a Ute in person. But they were the old ones, not they were the VEs just before the VF was even available. And I'm like, man, it's a good looking car, and they had the HSV badges and all that. And but yeah, anyway, if you had that exterior with the newer interior, that just would be freaking awesome. So now I'm not saying if I ever got wrecked, if the SS ever got wrecked, I wouldn't buy a Ute shell and do the same thing that Charles did. But man, that's such a long-term project, and you need a shop for that. Yes, I have a shop, but it's a 3-car garage that I park 3 cars in. I'm not kicking people out, and the Corvette's not going to be parked outside. So, yeah. What's the cost of an LSA? So, this is where things get interesting. I did my LSA swap for $3,200. I have it documented on my videos. I have a PDF file, not PDF. I have an Excel file with my whole budget, what I paid for prices on things. This was 4 years ago. Prices have gone up. I paid $500 for my LSA supercharger. It needed a $20 pulley to fix it. Yeah, Army, you'd agree with this. So if you buy a kit, there's a few companies that sell kits, but they're not complete, and those kits are like $6,000 or $7,000, maybe $5,000. But anyway, yeah. So kit's gonna be $6,000. You still need to do hoses, fittings, brackets, all this custom work that they don't provide you the parts with. Um, you're at a minimum at like $6,000. And then if you don't know how to do it, if you're paying someone to do it, probably paying another $2,000 for labor. So, I mean, you could be $8,000 into LSA swap. Yeah. Are the Hey, Mr. Vice, are the floor pans any stronger than just sheet metal? Like, I imagine if you dropped a brick or a toolbox, could you dent and put a hole through the bedpan of a ute? I've never really seen the inside of the bed, so I don't know what's made out of. Army, you're talking about the company that I was just talking about. um, yeah, injectors will be $600. Intake as cheap as $100, as expensive as what's RPM's intake, $700, something like that. Yeah, so I mean, depending on what you want to do. RPM sells a 5-inch intake for Camaro that can fit hard plastic cover. Okay. Yeah, I never knew. I didn't know it was under the bed. What it was made out of. But yeah, Army and Reefer. The intakes are. I have like $200 in mine, maybe 150, or you can spend $700 for something you still have to modify to fit. So you're all over the place with intakes. And the one warning I have about the kit that Army has listed is no brackets. I think it's missing hoses, and you still need to figure stuff out. So it's not a plug and play. Rotofab would require a different elbow. True. I'm trying to think. I've seen various solutions. I've seen metal. I've seen rubber. Yeah, 80 grand Australian for a Ute. Because I know the GTS WR1, whatever the hell, the one with the LS9 in it. I think that was 150 grand, and that's Australian. So put that in American dollars, it's probably still 120,000 for a freaking 160. There you go. So I'm just gonna do an exchange rate because I don't know what the exchange rate is, but so 160 grand for LS9 Commodore. So AUD to USD. Okay, 160,000 Australian is 107,000 American US dollar. So still, you can spend 108 grand for. Oh Jesus, $250,000. Wow. I'm just curious, what is that American? Oh, let me get rid of the 167,000. That's more than new 01. 01s are 120 at max ish. And to be honest, I would not buy a C701. Just due to the fact that it was one of 1 year, and that car they should have came out with 2 years earlier. Then the C8 came out and killed everything. Alright, you can pick up heads cam for 3,200. Yeah, and do not swap to an LS9 cam. I see people put those. I have one of those. I did that like 8 years, more than that. Wow. Probably did that almost 9 years ago. At the time, it made sense, but for the expense of putting a cam in, do not go with an LS9 cam. Go custom. It's not worth the $120 you can pay for it. Yeah, that's when Rowdy Daily becomes a new daily. Hey, Reefer, be prepared to spend $1,200 for a clutch. So don't let an automatic think it's any better. I don't know where you live, but depending on commute, I don't want to stick shift in if I'm driving, sitting in traffic every day. That sucks. I've done that. I'm never doing that again. And there's a reason why the C8, the GT500 only come with a dual clutch automatic. Hey, Army, you said it. I didn't say it. But I would agree. My SS, case in point, my SS with 550 wheel horsepower is... That car's ran 11.3. The fastest I've had my Corvette is 11.4. Oof. Army, be careful with the monster clutch. Starting to see horror stories about those clutches. Just a fair warning, I don't own one, but I just see more and more complaints about them falling apart and stuff like that. Hey, Mr. Vice, thank you for joining. Angelo, I would 100% agree with you on that. I have not had the car back out to the track since I put the new clutch in. Wow, is that right? I think last time I had the Corvette out, I was still in the LS7 clutch. I have increased the horsepower by another 100, and I have a twin disc to deal with now. Plus, I have, drag slicks. Oh, yeah, Monster is a brand out there. It's popular. That brand is popular with YouTube people, but I don't know how much of that is sponsorship, how much is parts provided. I don't know. There's a reason why the fastest stick shift cars in the world are going with these stepper clutches with adjustable weights. Even a YouTube person that we talked about earlier tonight has stepped away from that particular brand. They're going with a stepper clutch. So, but I don't think you're going to want to drive a stepper clutch on the street. But yeah, another thing to worry about, Reefer, is the stock clutch has is it a two-piece drive shaft? Not drive shaft, flywheel. It's got like almost like a balanced flywheel, and then it has the clutch, and then it's not just a flywheel, clutch plate, input shaft. It's like a weighted, they basically have this thing on the flywheel. There's a term for it. I'm forgetting. Dual mass. I think they call it like a dual mass flywheel. And that clutch will not work with an aftermarket clutch. So you have to replace that along with the clutch. And it It adds up with money. Yeah, but yeah, back to Angelo. An automatic swap is not out of the question for that car. I don't know. I just don't care about stick shift anymore. That sounds bad, but yeah. And when they're paying you for that opinion, I don't know. I think when you watch these YouTube videos, you know, you're not. Are you really getting an honest opinion? You know, like I don't have any big sponsors besides myself, so I'm pretty. You know, when something sucks, I'll tell you. Um, Sure, Kevin. Very true. I really wish. I really wish the 8-speed fit on the C out of the C7 into a C6. If that 8-speed physically fit in the C6, I would be doing that swap. Nice. Yeah, my sponsorship is. I'm sponsored by you guys. Yeah, that's how it goes. Angelo, is yours a 2005? I forget what year it is. Um, I've been looking into the auto swap on the Corvette. I'm not saying I would do it, but $20,000 for a Power Glide is out of the question. '07 auto. Okay. Hey, at least you have the 6L80. Yeah, I've seen complaints about the torque converter shutter. Some kind of shutter on the 8 speeds. Whether it was a truck or a Corvette or a Camaro, they all do the same damn thing. But I thought if you got it tuned, it was better. But I don't know. You see guys with the CTS V3s, so we'll just call it the V3. I see those cars get tuned all the time, and they tune the trans. I just don't know what the tuners are doing if there's still an issue with that transmission because I've seen some of the TSBs like they swap out the clutch fluid, they swap out the not clutch fluid, sorry. They swap out the transmission fluid, they swap out the torque converter, you know, they go through all this crap at GM and the damn thing still shakes. So actually, you know, I just forgot about the transmission issue with this 8 speeds. Um but anyway, yeah, I Angelo, just to get back to you, I've actually been doing a lot of research on that 8 speed. They're not super expensive. They can be had for. That's good. Good thing you're getting a trans tune. I had my SS has the same. I have that same 6L80 in my SS, and they tune the transmission and it works pretty well. But yeah, speaking of the 8 speed into a C6 Corvette, um, the torque tube lengths are all different. The electronics, the biggest. How do I say this? The biggest problem with putting an 8-speed Corvette automatic trans, into a C6 is 100% the electronics. I believe the mechanical, it'll bolt up. I've done a lot of nights researching this. The mechanics of it, if you use the right parts, it'll physically bolt up. I just don't know the length of the torque tube. I also don't know. Um, the torque tube will bolt up. I just don't know where it's going to fit. Um, Hello, Anthony. Broke torque tube twice. Was that on a C7? Army commented. Sorry, I didn't see it. Felt like hitting a road strip. Had the torque converter replaced at 13,000 miles. Okay. Wow. So Army, that's how you went from a Camaro to an SS. Wow. That's interesting. You're not the first person to tell me that. I've seen other people do that. It's interesting. You buy a newer chassis, newer motor car. You went back. He kind of went back. Anthony, is your car a automatic or manual? That's my question. All right, so the reason I ask, it's a 6-speed. Okay, I'm gonna assume that's a 6-speed manual. The reason that happens on particularly the C6 is basically wheel hop. A couple companies sell various forms of modifications to help alleviate that. I think the biggest one to prevent the torque tube from cracking is the coilovers. The torque tube brace from ECS, and the trans to diff mount. I'm sorry, the trans to diff frame stiffener, chassis stiffener. Those are the three things you can do to help alleviate that, particularly in a Corvette. I did all those on my C6, and I have not had an issue, and I've beat the piss out of the car. Was a 10-speed ever offered in a Corvette? No, it was not. Yeah, they've got rid of the 8-speed in the Camaros, the trucks, and I believe the new CTS. I'm sorry, C5T, whatever the hell they're calling the new CTS. I think it's going to get the 10-speed as well. That's the weird thing, guys, about the V3. Cool car, but why did they not stick the 10-speed in it? Same drivetrain as a Camaro, same platform, Alpha 2, whatever. Basically Alpha. It fit. I think the 10-speed is physically the same size as the 8-speed, and the 8-speed is the same size as a 6L80. Something like that. But yeah, so the C7s never got the 10-speed, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, have they put the 10 speeds in the base models, like the SS, the 1LE? I don't know. I don't know if they've completely removed the 8-speed out of that car. That's the one thing I don't know. Unfortunately, GM makes all these mid-year changes, so things just are weird. Like specifically, my Corvette to Angelo's, his car is just 2 years newer than mine. Different transmission, different diff. His doesn't have the mood lighting for the shifter. They do all these weird mid-year things, and you never know why they do it. Okay, so they have gotten rid of the 8-speed. Well, that's good. But yeah. So like we've been talking about, man, we've been on here for an hour and a half. Crazy. But hey, you guys are still here, so what we can keep talking. But anyway, 8-speed into a C6. I believe it would physically fit. Everything would bolt in. You've got to worry about torque tube length. There is a difference there. The C7Zs have, I think, a carbon fiber torque tube, and there's some steel torque tubes, and there's all kinds of different things. But I think you'd physically get it to bolt in. The problem with the 8-speed, in particularly the Corvette, there's no transmission tuning for it. There's no available aftermarket trans controller. There's nothing from GM. If you buy an 8-speed or 10-speed from GM, you're basically buying the LT4 harness 2, or whatever LTX harness 2, and so it's all integrated. Army, YouTube has held your message for review because it says tranny in it. Wow. Way to go, censorship. So I had to click allow on that. Um, yeah, I knew that they both use Camaro, or the Camaros they call it one thing, and the Mustangs they call it a different. It's basically the same trans though. But yeah, I'd really like an automatic. It'd be cool. But so yeah, we've been kind of talking about future stuff for the Corvette. Uh, SS, it's repairs and fixing stuff. Kind of what's going on with that. The truck. I think Kevin asked about the truck. The truck. Honestly, I just wanted to live another year, then I go buy something new. It's kind of my plan for the truck. But anyway, what do you guys think about an automatic swap on the channel? Would you guys be interested in seeing that? The parts are not super expensive. What tuner am I using? Right now, just HP tuners with PCM in North Carolina tuning the car. If I went 6-speed auto, so 6L80, my car is not. My car's no 05, so I have a bastard year car basically, and it's a one of 1 year trans. I can't use any of the new wiring harness in it. That's not right. Honestly, Kevin, the T56, it's just a Z06 unit. I could sell it for basically what I have into it. And the cool thing about the 6L80 is it's a 30 spline output shaft. So I could literally slip a 6L80 out of a Grand. Did the automatics come to Grand Sport? But anyway, you basically take a C6 trans, automatic trans, and the output shaft is 30 spline as well. So Z06, my Z06 rear diff will literally slide right into the back of the transmission, and we're good to go. I don't need another diff. I don't need anything like that. But the problem is, yes, and if you look on eBay, you can find like automatic swap kits for like less than $2,000. Maybe like, yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just kind of something I've been thinking about doing. It's like, we've done the trans, and honestly, guys, if I go to the drag strip and break the car, transmission side related, I'm not paying for an RPM transmission. It those transmissions are like $5,000, and it's just, why are you gonna pay something to fix it just for it to break again? If that makes sense. Like, once you go down that road of going race car, I know, right? I got the SS down to a 1.6 with just a ZL1 torque converter. So, what was it, 1.6? Yeah, 1.6 60 foot. Yeah, you buy an RPM transmission, and it's just going to break again. The T56s, the TR66s, just, it's almost like a black hole. It's like you buy one, you build it, you break it, you build it again. You're $10,000 into two transmissions. It's like, Kevin, a Power Glide is $20,000. I'm not kidding. It's $18,000 to $22,000, depending on what you do. Why would I spend $20,000 when I can go buy a 6L80, the trans, the diff, the torque tube, the wiring harness for $2,000? You know? Yeah. Again, dog ears aren't cheap. Well, maybe not stock, but reefer. I have problems with that. I have 700 plus horsepower and 675 foot-pounds of torque, so it likes to kick out. Yeah, I'm not trying to go super fast. So yeah, if we did, we've obviously you guys can tell I've done some research onto this, but if we did an auto conversion, the parts aren't super expensive. It's say $2,000 or $3,000. Where it gets expensive with my C6 in particular is wiring harness, ECM, BCM, and all that. The How much power can the stock 6L80 handle? Um, it really depends on your tuner. I hate to say it. A lot of guys tune these transmissions. They don't know what they're doing. They blow them up like on stock horsepower level. Guys that know what they're doing could probably get 600-700 horsepower out of them fine. But I, it just depends on what your goals are. Exactly, Anthony. Thank you. I would never put. Okay, so I looked into Holly. I looked into Haltech, and there was a third one out there. The Holly, I would not go the route of the Terminator X or the Terminator. Hey, thanks, Mr. Vice. You have a good morning. It's like noon or 1 o'clock there in Australia. Have a good one. But yeah. So aftermarket ECU, they're about $2,000. But getting it hooked up to a Corvette, getting the factory gauges working, probably like another $1,000-$1,500. So you'd probably be $3,000-$4,000 into an ECM package, and I think I'd be okay with that. Just due to the fact that my computer, like I've said, is a 1 computer. It doesn't read alcohol percentage. You guys just saw that video on Wednesday. If you guys saw that, it doesn't read alcohol or ethanol percentage. Yeah, but it just depends on what you want to do. I kind of want to do a new motor, new trans, new ECM, new blower. I mean, that's all a lot of wants. What we'll actually do, I don't know, but I wouldn't mind doing a automatic swap. I think it would be kind of different. Now here's where we kind of get into an interesting thing. We're not just doing an ECU swap. We can't do that. Like, I can't just go buy any of the new stuff. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Kevin. If it were me, I would just go buy a parts car or a roller 6L80 car. If I could find a car, actually, I don't want to. I didn't almost buy it, but I messaged a guy. He had a 2000. I think it was a 2007 LS2 6L80 car. It got hit. I think he wanted $3,000 for it. Still had the trans, still had torque tube, still had all the electronics in it. It didn't have the engine in it though, or the front clip, but I didn't really need any of that. If I just bought a parts car and got all the hardware, the motor, not the motor, the trans, the diff, the torque tube, all that stuff out of it, it would probably be the cheapest route I could do, and I wouldn't have to buy an aftermarket ECM. Like, the stock GM computers are fine up until a certain point. I don't know. Do we buy a parts car? Do we buy a salvage car? I don't know. I haven't looked on Copart in a long time, but I saw that one guy's car on Facebook for like $4,000. Maybe Copart has a flood car, or something. Maybe not a flood car, but maybe a front or rear impact that didn't catch fire. Maybe we could do a parts car. I don't know. There's so many options. Like, you go the eBay route, buy all your parts, but then I don't know what's compatible, what's not compatible. Do I have to buy a 2007 gauge cluster to work with a 2007 ECM? I don't know. I don't know what the difference are. So there's many routes you can go down this path. The best route, I think, would be buy a parts car, get the wiring harnesses out of it, get the transmission harness out of it, get the ECM out of it, get all that stuff out, and swap it over to my car. But I don't know. Do I want to deal with parting out a car? I don't know. So, but yeah, man, we've been on here for an hour and 45 minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type, comments, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Actually, you guys have piqued my interest. What's for sale on Copart? Oh, my HOA would hate that. Copart.com. All right, so we're looking for a 2007 Chevy Corvette. Hey, Reefer, thanks for joining. You have a good night. I spelled Chevy Corvette right. AES Corvette. I have not heard of them. All right. So the interesting thing about Copart is some states you're not required to have a brokerage license. Some states you are. I forget what North Carolina. Wow, there's only 9 Corvettes in all of the United States. Damage, front roof. Yeah, we're kind of browsing and YouTubing at the same time. But anyway, so there's 9 of them. Damage our side front end. This one has aftermarket wheels on it. 6-liter. That's a manual. Sorry. Yeah, so maybe we can be like all the cool YouTubers and get a Copart account and start buying cars. I'm kidding, guys. I stripped. Oh, that car is stripped. No seats. But anyway, I don't know. So I'm just kind of browsing the internet, seeing what's going on. I think that's a manual. Oh, it's a Z06. Should have read the details. All right. Anyway, so yeah, there's options out there. I don't know. So, long story short, if I ever did an automatic swap on the Corvette, you could go Power Glide. I'm not looking for a drag car, so that's not going to happen. 20 grand minimum for a Power Glide. But then, how do you control it? How do you make the stock computer happy? Excuse me, guys. What else? You could go aftermarket ECU, so 4 grand for Haltech or Holly, whatever. And then still have to buy transmission, diff, torque tube. Oh, I won't need a diff, but all the automatic swaps I see on eBay and whatnot come with the diff. So maybe you could sell the diff, get a couple $100 back. So stuff like that. Then there's the whole parts car, swap all the harnesses over, get the car retuned, stuff like that. The problem with that is if I try to run a different ECU, actually, damn, that would not work. My motor, this is where you get screwed with Corvettes. My motor is a 1-of-1-year motor. So the cam position sensor is different on my 05 than it is from an 06 or 07. Shoot. I just thought of that. I ran into that problem when I did the cam swap like 9 years ago. Also, the engine has the wrong tooth count. The crank. Oh, I think we just lost you guys there for a second. Anyway, yeah, so if I try to go the stock route, even if I got a parts car, I would need to tear the engine apart. I would have to replace the crank position sensor. So, all right. Hey, Angelo, thank you for confirming that. Yeah, so cam sensor's wrong. The crank reluctor ring's wrong. There's no good solution here. And I'm not buying a new car to start over. Like, no. I mean, I've done way too much chassis work, way too much framework, body work. I mean, yeah, you could tear a Corvette apart and body swap it to, not body swap it, move all the panels to another one, but that's just way too much work. I kind of wish Copart would show you completed. Oh, excuse me, guys. Because eBay gives you the option of actually looking at completed auctions. But anyway, so yeah, aftermarket ECU, aftermarket trans computer, that's $4,000 minimum. Power Glide, 20 grand. Buy a parts car and swap everything over. But then you run into engine problems and a crate motor's like $5,000. There's not a good solution anywhere here. So, but anyway, yeah, if you guys have any more questions, comments, feel free to make one. I think we're gonna end this here pretty soon. And I can't believe I've been online for almost 2 hours. But what else? Yeah, actually, I think we are gonna end it here. But anyways, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes for questions, comments, whatever. So yeah, maybe we'll auto swap a Corvette. I really don't want to buy another one and swap everything and then still have engine problems. There's not a great solution. Thanks, Kevin. And when the world is less crazy with everything, hopefully, Kevin, we can see each other soon. That sounds weird. Hopefully, we can visit each other sometime coming up. But anyways, if you guys like the channel, give me any feedback, you guys. If you guys want to have any topics coming up on a future live stream, obviously just be prepared for your questions and we'll go from there. Corvette updates will be for at least the next 5 or 6 weeks. We'll get back to the truck after that, and then after that, I think we'll get back to the SS. Something like that. We've got a lot of Corvette content coming up. Some truck, some SS, and then hopefully in the meantime, go racing at some point. So, but all right, guys, thanks for joining the video and have a great one.